I have been with my girlfriend for 6 months, and I'm pissed to the point of breaking it off with her because she recently tore up one of my favorite sweaters out of insecurity, because she found out it was from an ex-friend /FWB of mine. Posted by you/throwawayrgile. I really love this sweater. It was smart casual with a striped pattern from a fancy Italian brand. I could wear it to work as well as for an evening out, and I really liked how I looked in it. I'm really pissed to lose it. Background on the relationships. My 28M girlfriend is Hannah, 27F. We met because we live on the same street and used to have our pre-work morning coffee at the same cafe. Our coffee meetup slowly turned into dates, and we've officially been a couple for about 6 months. I like her. She's sweet and smart and pretty, but we are taking it slow since both of us were coming off terrible breakups. She broke up with her fella of 10 years. Their relationship ended in a hail of fights and petty behavior, which tore apart their friends and pissed off their families. The reasons were never clear to me. All Hannah said was that all their relationship problems came up at the same time, and everything unraveled. My breakup was kinda different. Haley and I never officially dated, but we had been friends for a very long time. We slept together once when we were both between relationships, but we were both sure that we worked better as friends. 2 years back, Haley broke up from a bad relationship, and we got into a semi-official FWB situation, i.e., we would still hang out and talk as friends, but once in a while we'd also have some form of physical intimacy. Both of us also got really busy with our careers, so we never really had any other romantic relationships. Around Christmas 2015, Haley brought up our relationship and told me that she was falling for me as more than a friend and wanted to explore a relationship with me. I didn't. I had my own reasons, mainly that we had some fundamentally mismatched views on life that would make a relationship really hard. We worked really well as friends, and she was really important to my life. I didn't want to jeopardize that by getting into a relationship. Well, I still lost that friendship. She essentially went no contact, and no matter how much I hated it, I couldn't really say much since it was a reasonable thing for her to do for her own sake. But it really hurt. Losing her as a friend hurt way more than any breakup I've ever had, and it took me a while to find my footing. Hannah knew the basic details about mine and Haley's relationship and wasn't too curious about it. She also knew that I had a few things that Haley had given me but never raised an issue about it, especially since she had a bunch of gifts from her ex as well. This Christmas, I accompanied Hannah to her office Christmas party. To my surprise, Haley was also there. It turns out that she started working there recently, in a different department from Hannah's. We exchanged pleasantries and tried some small talk, but it was awkward and lasted maybe 3 minutes, most of which was silence. Then Haley left early, and I didn't see her again. While I talked to Haley, Hannah was somewhere else. When she came back, I told her about it. She had never met her before, big company, but her curiosity was piqued. In any case, I got into a jovial party mood, and everything went back to normal. Until last Friday. When I was at work, I got a flurry of texts from Hannah, basically stating that she finally met Haley. Now, you should know that Haley is really attractive, like modeling offers since she was 16 attractive. Plus, her job also means that she's always dressed to kill, as she's an event manager for high-end corporate parties. Well, seeing Haley did a number on Hannah. She didn't come out and say it, but she suddenly got extremely curious about Haley as well as our relationship, with a lot of questions about everything. She even specifically mentioned the sweater, saying, "No wonder you love that sweater so much." I tried my best to assuage her insecurities. I told her that there was absolutely nothing between Haley and me. We haven't even talked to each other in more than a year, except for 3 awkward minutes during that party. I also told her that I really liked her and could see our relationship going pretty far. But I was also low-key annoyed with the whole conversation. Anyway, Hannah slept over Saturday night, and I thought we had gotten somewhat past this momentary burst of jealousy. Then she left early on Sunday morning, saying something had come up, even though we had plans to spend the day together. In the evening, I was going through my laundry, and I saw the sweater with a big hole in the armpit, like someone had tried to literally pull it apart with their bare hands. Now it's obvious that it was Hannah's doing. I had worn that sweater on Thursday, and when I put it aside for dry cleaning, it was fine. No one else had come to my flat since then. I texted her asking about it directly. That may not have been the best tactic, but I was incredibly pissed off. She was on the defensive from the get-go, denying that she did it, coming up with various ways that could have happened, and continuously telling me that I was a jerk for thinking that she was crazy like that. This morning, she texted me all pissed and curt and told me that yes, the provenance of the sweater bothered her, but she didn't do it. I think I need to dump her. But I've been second-guessing myself a fair bit as well. Hannah has always been really sweet and is very caring and sensitive about my feelings. I really like her, and we don't have any fundamental differences. We can genuinely have a good, fulfilling relationship, and maybe this ripping up a sweater thing was just a momentary lapse of judgment, which she is extremely embarrassed about, and hence her defensive. What do you think? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. You get to decide what is breakup worthy. Anything can be breakup worthy. Destroying a shirt of yours falls within that, but I do think it's kind of you to accept it may have simply been a momentary lapse of judgment. It could be, or it could be a red flag. It's really up to you if you want to try and make this relationship work because it's worth more to you than the act of low-key destroying the sweater, etc. If you do want to make it work, you guys should have a discussion about the incident, however, and that if anything ever happens like that again, you're finished. You don't even have to say, I know you did it. Just state that it doesn't matter to you whether or not she did it. She should know if anything strange like that pops up again, that's it. Commenter 2. She's 27 years old and reacted to your having an ex-FWB by ripping up a prized personal item of yours, then doubled down by lying and saying she didn't do it. This is a window into her conflict management strategies, including how she handles her insecurities which you had already had frank conversations about and reassured her. She moreover keeps lying about it and telling you that you're the jerk here. It's just not a momentary lapse at this point. It's an ongoing lapse that's lasted Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and counting. It is your choice as to whether you want to break up about this, but I can't really call it a momentary lapse. I would call it a red flag, actually, multiple red flags because she keeps doubling and redoubling down on it. Commenter 2. Their relationship ended in a hail of fights and petty behavior, which tore apart their friends and pissed off their families. It sounds like she hasn't learned from her recent mistakes and is starting up a fresh hail of fights and petty behavior. This is one of the reasons I think it's a bad idea to rush into a new relationship fresh off the last one. End things now, before it gets worse. Update 10 days later. Since it's been 10 days and the matter has been settled in a satisfactory manner, I thought I'd update you guys as to the final conclusion. I've had a few pints, so forgive the disjointedness. To answer some common questions, it was a Loro Piana jumper. It's not repairable, I asked around. My evidence for knowing that Hannah was the culprit is circumstantial, but compelling. Firstly, after I put it in the pile meant for dry cleaning, it was covered by a bunch of other stuff. When I discovered its tattered remains, it was bunched up in a ball on top of the pile. Secondly, the tear was 8 inches/20 centimeters long, something I would have noticed quite comfortably if it had happened while I was wearing it or while I put it in the laundry pile. Thirdly, while it was torn, it was also stretched completely out of shape. The stretching would be consistent with someone grabbing two sides of it and pulling it apart. But most convincingly, when I confronted Hannah, aggressively, I admit, she started telling me about all the alternative ways in which the damage could have happened, with exact knowledge of the type of damage that my poor jumper had suffered. I had never mentioned the type of damage, namely, that it was in the armpit area along the seam, along with the stretching. To the lady who sent me a very heartfelt and foul-mouthed rant/plea, yes, I think people have every right to feel insecure or inadequate. Yes, people have every right to act like an idiot. Yes, I have done stupid things due to my lack of control over my emotions. And yes, I'm weird or materialistic enough to love a jumper more than the woman I'm dating. But no, I don't think she deserves my forgiveness for this slip-up, and that is because it wasn't the insecurity, it wasn't the lack of control, and it wasn't the materialism that made me want to break up. It was the lying and deceitful manner in which she behaved afterwards. It was the insanely manipulative way in which she turned herself into the victim and demanded an apology from me, and yeah, the cursing directed at me didn't help. The story is fairly dramatic as well as anticlimactic. Her curt behavior after my ill-fated confrontation lasted for 2 days. Then she called about 40 times to beg me for forgiveness. Even though I avoided the calls, I did hear the voice messages, and my empathy was piqued. She also pretty much admitted to her guilt in some of those voice messages. But then I also came to know that preceding those calls, she had lashed out towards Haley, my ex-friend/FWB, at their workplace, and that it was ugly as well as had potential to spiral negatively for her career. That made me feel really bad for Haley. She didn't deserve to be dragged into drama that she played no active role in. The anticlimactic part is that I didn't even have to break up with Hannah. She has essentially moved in with her parents up north. She sent me a message through a mutual acquaintance stating that she realizes that she has quite a few issues she needs to handle from her breakup with her ex-fiancé, and our decision to date was pretty much doomed from the start. I wished her the best of luck with her journey. Another mutual acquaintance approached me, this time one between me and Haley. She sent word apologizing for her role in my relationship meltdown. I told her that there was nothing to apologize for on her end. I also asked for her forgiveness for inadvertently causing workplace dramatics. And that's that. Thank you for your words and brickbats. It was enlightening, entertaining, and infuriating. Interesting combination for sure, but then that's why one turns to random internet strangers for advice. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I looked at what Loro Piana charges for stuff. Whoa, that's an expensive jumper. Commenter 2. I did not recognize that brand, so I had to look it up. Apparently, I don't recognize it because I'm a goddamn peasant.